No, I'm not blue. I'm really happy today. Good morning and welcome to Unity, spirituality with open hearts and open minds. I'm so thrilled you're all here this morning, whether you're here on Zoom or whether you're here in person. No matter where you are physically, we are of one heart. And we hold each other near and dear in spirit always. And we begin our service with lighting our Christ candle that reminds us of the spark of the divine that abides in everyone and everything. And so at home, get your candle ready, and we'll do Come Light, Light of God. Come light, light of God, give light to creation, enlighten our hearts and remain in your world. Come light, light of God, give light to creation, enlighten our hearts and remain with your world. Oh, and so now I invite you to stand, and together we're going to begin with I Am Home, and then we've got a really rousing song. So that's why I'm telling you, go ahead and stand up now, because you're going to want to be able to move and dance to Holy, Holy Way.
I am home, I am home. I have traveled far along this road, and now I'm home. Shalom, shalom. In the love of God, I am home. I am home. I am home. I have traveled far along this road, and now I'm home. Shalom, shalom. In the love of God, I am home. And I'd like to invite some singers up to help with this song. And Kelly is going to give you she's going to give the lead, and we're going to respond, sing back what she has sung to us. So you'll listen and sing, listen and sing.
So on your words, some of them aren't quite
Yeah,
right.
the words are a little off, so some are not there. So just listen and sing back what Kelly sings, and you'll be good to go.
It's just like life.
Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way.
Let me love in a holy, holy way.
Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way.
Let me love in a holy, holy way.
Oh, let me know that love is all around.
Let me know that love is all around.
Oh, let me know that love is all around.
Let me know that love is all around.
Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way.
Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way.
Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way.
Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way.
Oh, let me live in a holy, holy way.
Let me live in a holy, holy way.
Oh, let me live in a holy, holy way.
Let me live in a holy, holy way.
Oh, let me know that love can heal us all.
Let me know that love can
us all.
Let me know that love can heal us all.
Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way.
Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way.
Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way.
Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way.
Oh, let me serve in a holy, holy way.
Let me serve in a holy, holy way.
Oh, let me serve in a holy, holy way.
Let me serve in a holy, holy way.
Oh, let me care for those around the world.
Let me care for those around the world.
Oh, let me care for those around the world.
Let me care for those around the world.
Oh, let me serve in a holy, holy way.
Oh, let me serve in a holy, holy way.
Oh, let me serve in a holy, holy way.
Oh, let me serve in a holy, holy way.
Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way.
Let me love in a holy, holy way.
Oh, let me live in a holy, holy way.
Let me live in a holy, holy way.
Oh, let me serve in a holy, holy way.
Let me serve in a holy, holy way. Thank you. Thank you.
Seated. Oh, this month is Teilhard de Chardin, and I did a talk on him at the last month, and the first Sunday in September is Teilhard de Chardin. But I like to start each service at some point with a quote from him this month. And we at Unity have as our fifth spiritual principle, we are eternal spiritual beings having an earthly experience for a divine reason. Here are the words of Teilhard de Chardin. We are not human beings having a spiritual experience. We're spiritual beings having a human experience. Isn't that wonderful, that golden light of truth that unites us all, always, one and all. And I bring you special blessings from Grandfather Bear, Reverend Roy Wilson, who's a Methodist minister but also a shaman and dedicated to teaching the earth teachings. And he's I have to stay away from the on-off switch. That's probably a good thing to do with life. Be conscious when you're on and be conscious when you're off. And so Grandfather Bear recently had a serious fall with a subdural hematoma, fell 3 times, was taken to the hospital, and they didn't know if he would be able to go home ever. And after 3 days, they watched his scans. He did not need surgery. He did wonderfully, amazingly, and they said, you need to go to rehab, and he said, no, I need to go home. And so you can imagine Grandfather Bear, they gave him a couple of tests. One of them was to walk a certain distance down the hall with his walker. He walked to the end of that distance, and then he said he did a little jig to just show him he was doing great. So Grandfather Bear got to go home after only 3 days in the hospital. I was at a women's summit in Olympia on Saturday, so on Sunday I drove down south of Chehalis to his longhouse and went to his Sunday service, which he was at and did. I brought all of your love. He has so many people here in Port Townsend who love him. And he was so grateful and said, come back again, carpool, get a bunch of you to come sometime. And as part of the closing, they passed the offertory basket, and then they also passed a basket of wooden carvings. And the one I got was a bear for Grandfather Bear. I looked in the basket later, all the rest of them were paddles and fish. I did cosmic pick into the basket, so I'm going to put this in our prayer chapel as a symbol of all of us holding Grandfather Bear in prayer. We've got a couple of other people I invite you to hold in prayer this week. We're going to have a meditation later, so I wanted to do the prayer things just first up in the service. Diane Vaux has been in the hospital. She just got to go home late yesterday. She was in ICU for a couple of days with cellulitis, but things are doing well, and she is back home. So you can do prayers now, and in spirit, there's no time or space. So know they will journey back and surround her right in the midst of what she was going through. Yes, Tom.
This might be a time to mention it with TLC. We have planned now to take meals out to her and Walter through Friday. I took something out last night, but
Thank you.
don't have anybody else signed up yet except for Tuesday because we haven't had time to get it all together. There's a sign-up sheet in the back. If anybody here could take a meal out, especially today,
Wonderful.
that would be appreciated.
Good. So we need prayers, and we need prayers with skin on, where we're the presence for one another. Thank you, Tom. John Auckland was kayaking yesterday at Lake Crescent and had an episode with his heart, and his little heart device went off. He's doing very well. They immediately called for help. They took him. He's at St. Michael's in Silverdale and is doing great, but they're going to run some tests to just figure out what happened. Rhonda Hull's having surgery for her hip on Tuesday, so lots of prayers on Tuesday for Rhonda. And we're going to be connecting even more as a spiritual community. Leslie Aiken has agreed to take on the directory again, which is answered prayer. Lane's going to take photos, so we'll be updating that. So we'll start the fall with a fully updated directory with all of you in it. And Flip's Celebration of Life, we just confirmed, is going to be on Saturday, October the 8th. So that's coming. So that's the spiritual connection that is part of being spiritual beings, but sharing that earthly experience together as one. And so with that, I give you one of the great holders of the light in our community. Here's David.
And you found out about the on and off button. That's great. I'm not the only one. So from Glenn's point of view back there in the sound booth, when he hears this clicking noise, there's a couple things. Either the whole thing's going to heck in a handbasket, or somebody's holding the on and off button. Generally, that was me. So this is a continuation of last week's discussion about the mind-body connection and healing. And it's Dr. Joe Dispenza, and Karen's going to team up again, I'm sure. But so I was pulled up some more of his quotes because he's really heavily quoted. And the most interesting thing is that maybe the second most interesting thing is that while he wasn't raised in any New Thought stuff, he was raised as in his background is science, but he started looking at neurochemistry, how things work, and particularly what he's interested in is spontaneous healings. How does that come about? And so he spent all of his life now teaching about that. And here's what it comes to play, and you may find some of these familiar. When you place your attention, where you place your attention is where you place your energy. Once you fix your attention or your awareness or your mind on possibility, you place that energy there as well. And as a result, you're affecting matter with your attention or your observation. The placebo effect is not a fantasy. It is quantum reality. And that goes along with the law of manifestation. Your brain and your body don't know the difference between an actual experience in your life or just thinking about the experience. They are the same. And that's the law of visualization. So when we do those visualization boards, or you have something up on your bulletin board that you look at every day, you are creating that as part of your reality. And the last one was, the only way we can change our lives is to change our energy. To change the electromagnetic field we are constantly broadcasting. In other words, to change your state of being, you have to change how we think and how we feel. And that's the law of attraction. So all of that is part of this grand scheme that Spirit has put out to connect the physical and the metaphysical, the real and the reality. So, and then today, stated word is gratitude. So I wanted to pull those two things together. And there's a couple of quotes I like to use to do that. Gratitude will be the shift, gratitude will shift you into a higher frequency, a higher energy, a higher consciousness, and you will attract better things. Gratitude unlocks the fullness of life. It turns what we have into enough and more. It turns denial into acceptance, chaos into order, confusion into clarity. It can turn a meal into a feast, a house into a home, and a stranger into a friend. It's just the act of gratitude. And as we go into November, we're going to look at a book called The Gentle Art of Blessing, which is the gentle art of gratitude. But gratitude, blessing others as a form of gratitude. And as we look at that book and use that as our touchstone for the month, you'll see how that all that comes together, where a person becomes a friend, where chaos becomes synergy. Gratitude. Gratitude is my natural state of mind. What a joy it is to feel gratitude rising in my heart and filling my mind. Feeling grateful makes me aware of the all-encompassing presence of God, including the divine within me. When I live from my spiritual nature, gratitude becomes the song of my heart. I don't need to wait for reason to feel gratitude. When I live with an attitude of gratitude, I find the good in every situation, the blessing that can come from any adversity, and the presence of God in every aspect of life. Practicing gratitude opens my eyes to the blessings that are present and my heart to receive even more. I give thanks for the unlimited world, blissful peace, and perfect wholeness. The psalmist puts it this way: let us come to his presence with thanksgiving. Let us make joyful noise to him with songs of praise. And so it is.
In every life some darkness falls. You look around, you've lost it all. When your loved ones can't be there, oh, who will you call? Just remember who you are, a miracle child of the stars. When your world has all gone wrong, come and sing this song. I am becoming stronger. I things in life just can't be shared or redone or repaired. Look inside to find this song. You can forgive and move on. I am becoming stronger. I am becoming whole. I walk in beauty, in the healing light of love, in the healing, in the healing, in the healing light of love. So open up your heart and mind. Let your love light shine. Let the world be your friend. You get back the love you sent. I am becoming stronger. I am becoming whole. I walk in beauty, in the healing light of love, in the healing, in the healing, in the healing light of love, in the healing light of love. Of her life experience, with healing.
That's wonderful. And does it ever set the stage for what I'm going to talk about today? Mind Body Healing 102. Remember in school when you had a course that's 101, and that was the kind of the background course, the introductory course, and then you had 102 that really dug into the meat and potatoes of the event, of the theme. And then maybe if you stayed in school long enough, you could take advanced. What I'm hoping to do is that we all go into advanced healing together, advanced mind-body healing. Today, I think about the 150 years of New Thought and the teachings in New Thought that were so congruent with what Dr. Joe Dispenza is doing today. The only difference is he called neuroscientists in to verify what was going on by brain mapping the people who had spontaneous remissions in his workshops. And I found out about the teachings of Dr. Joe Dispenza when I joined All Is Well Institute in Davis, California. It was online. It was a group of ministers and teachers and practitioners who joined together and formed a consortium sharing the knowledge they had on mind-body healing and studying together. And one of the groups, one person that we studied was the teachings of Dr. Joe Dispenza. And there's another one that I found to be very helpful. I discovered it myself online. It was a program where you can actually take yourself through the healing process and a computer is there teaching you. I thought it was incredible. And I covered all these modalities that we have been aware of for 150 years in New Thought. And it was all there on a computer. And you were on your own, learning and everything that you needed to know. I did have a chronic pain issue. And that's where I really began to make a good start on curing my situation that had been with me for about half a century. And I talked about that last week. First thing I need to ask you, how are you feeling? Good. Okay. How are you healing? I heard mixed response there. One of the things that we always did when we got together online in All Is Well Institute, we would ask this question of each person who was attending. What is going on in your mind? What is going on in your body? And what is going on in spirit for you? We would go around and share that. And then Reverend Sarah Nichols, who was a Center for Spiritual Living minister in Davis, California, would lead us in healing prayer. And she also led the group and allowed us to, as we studied Dispenza and many other healers. What is your definition of pain? Think about that just a minute. Pain is defined in a medical dictionary or by a neurologist as an unpleasant feeling that is conveyed to the brain by sensory neurons. Now, I doubt if any of you in your definition of pain use the word sensory neurons, but the one thing about pain, there is a scientific connection. Dr. Michael Merznick, who often appears on the PBS money-raising events, I went into one of his broadcasts and stayed instead of going on to another channel like we sometimes do when PBS is having their pledge drive. And he said several things that I thought were pertinent. The power to change our brain is known as the theory of neuroplasticity. And the experiences of threat and pleasure can change the brain. That is a wonderful clue on how you can make changes in manifesting your own healing. Changes manifest through repetitive process called neurogenesis. In education, we called it spaced learning, spaced repetition learning, but it's the same thing. Are you aware that you can move through physical discomfort and afflictions if you understand how to work with both science and spirit? Were you aware of that? I wasn't for a long time. David? Okay. We're learning to use our new screens here that are just wonderful and really help with something like this because there are some technical aspects to this talk I'm giving today. Past injuries, accidents, or health conditions are known as very familiar stresses, along with family relationships and even romantic relationships. Work, anxiety, sadness or grief, anger. A lot of anger comes out of childhood adversity. There's unresolved painful memories, and that often pops up under the label of PTSD. And social isolation, do we know about that? Boy, do we know about that. This last 2.5 years, we've had a lot of that. That's stressful. Discrimination or rejection are causes of stress, and all of these have an effect on the body. Our fear that comes up when we worry or anticipate pain allows us to get into a perpetuating modality. Our fear increases as we associate the pain with some catastrophic health issue. Often, in the case of chronic pain, long after the physical condition heals, the memory of that pain is stored in our brain, and emotional stressors can set it off. I never knew that. This was new to me. The nervous system can learn to feel these sensations, and the brain and central nervous system can become wired to make the body feel continuous pain. Even in the absence of structural or tissue damage, it's not long before we focus on fear, and we worry, and we anticipate our pain. Are you familiar with Louise Hay's book, Heal Your Body? Let's just turn to a page. I do body scans with this book. I did that for a long time, and I still do it. It's handy. It's always where I can open it up and see this book. One of the things that comes up here is, in the first column, I looked up and I saw this symptom of insomnia. Any of you have insomnia? Right. Not much fun. Then the idea behind insomnia or the mental cause, she lists that in the next column. Fear, not trusting the process of life. Guilt. And then in the third column, she gives us the antidote, the affirmation that will help us get better. I lovingly release the day and slip into peaceful sleep, knowing tomorrow will take care of itself. Louise Hay made it clear to me that I could heal things and that I could, and whenever I was feeling just a little wonky, I could pick up this book and go through it and look at the symptoms and realize that there was something I could do, that I had some power over my own healing. So, what's affected when we're stressed? It affects how the body works. As the cycle of pain repeats, the brain and central nervous system can become wired to make the body feel that continuous pain. And in the process, as our fear augments, we experience these emotional stressors. The nervous system can actually learn to feel these sensations and allow us to be wired to make the body feel continuous pain. The amygdala is the part of the body that is in charge of many of our responses. Let's go on to the next slide, David. Okay, I call the amygdala Miggy, and I learned a lot about Miggy when I went through this process 7 years ago, and I still have to talk to Miggy. Miggy is that part of the brain that governs everything. And many times I have had to say to Miggy, okay, Miggy, stop that pain in my lower right torso. I'm tired of it. I've been to the doctor. They've examined me. They can't find anything wrong. So Miggy, you're just remembering that pain from before. It's been healed. It's not here anymore. So I want you to stop it. Stop it right now. No more pain signals. Another part of the brain that is important is the ANS, the autonomic nervous system, because the messages go to the autonomic nervous system, and that can cause, and if it gets stirred up, it can cause acute spasms and other physiological changes anywhere in the body. Another part is the ACC, the anterior, number 3. You'll see the location there on the illustration. By the way, these illustrations are, this illustration is from curablehealth.com. And the ANS gets stirred up and can cause acute spasms and other physiological changes anywhere in the body. Then there's the ACC, number 3, the emotional factors that light up this area when an AC, when activated. So our pain is always tied into our emotions are always tied into our pain. And those emotions, if they're implanted in the body, it can affect your body in many ways. But there's a wonderful little part here that's number 4, and it's up there in the amygdala. The dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, what a long term. The DLPEFC, that is the part where you can make a change by talking to Miggy. Because that's where you can turn things around and find a way to feel help, to feel healing, happy and healing, and know that everything that you wanted to know, everything you wanted to have, can change just by communication with yourself, your inner self, and with Miggy. Next slide, David. Dr. Joe Dispenza, this is one of his slides, and he talks frequently about how to change your reality. And he makes these comments: same thoughts help us make the same choices, and same actions and behaviors help us have the same experiences and the same feelings, all relate to this old state of being. Last week, I talked to you about that part of us that no one sees. 95% of us is buried in our subconscious. And we have a self that is out there for the rest of the world, that's 5%. So that old state of being is usually instilled by the time you're 35 years old. Most people don't change much after age 35. But you can, and you can make a whole different life for yourself by going through this process of inspiring yourself with visions of what you want and what you want to feel and what you want to experience. And your new thoughts lead you to new choices and new actions and behaviors and whole new experiences, new feelings, and a new state of mind. And Dr. Dispenza makes this comment: can you believe that your brain and body can be physically changed ahead of the actual experience? If so, then you just moved from living in your past to living in your future. In fact, you are living ahead of time. In time, you become empowered by the thought of your new lifestyle. And as you do that, you begin to live in the future. How was it when you planned your wedding? You got out the magazines and flipped through them, and you talked to the people in the restaurants. You did the whole plan. You were envisioning how it would all look, and you knew it would be wonderful. Or if you decided on a career, when did you start thinking about your career? When did you start thinking about how wonderful it would be, and looking at schools and making plans? We do this all the time, especially when we're younger, and it can continue. Eventually, you will start to think about how you will feel when this happens. And as you think about how you will feel, your personality will create that new inner reality. And as you create this image, ask yourself, what emotion goes with this future reality? How will I feel? How will it look? How will I be? How will I dress? You'll be thinking about every single thing. When I thought about coming up here in 2017, when I made my decision that I was going to move up here, before I left on October 8th, I went around and I applied for apartments. And then when I went home, I started buying clothing that worked for up here. Didn't know about puff coats, though. Wish I had. But anyway, I caught on. I now have a 5 puff coat wardrobe in my closet. I am ready for anything in this weather. And I have loved being here. It's still my Camelot. And this church is part of my Camelot. So you feel empowered by thought, and you wait for something to happen. And as you think about how you will feel, your personality creates your inner reality. You're always moving toward that vision of what you want and what you want to happen. And I must say that I've been very happy with what I envisioned. And the song Camelot was the first thing that inspired it. It was a serendipitous event that when I was calling a friend, and all of a sudden, I got a phone call. I got a phone call from Unity of Port Angeles. And they said, we'd like for you to, someone's told us about some of the things that you say when you're on the platform, and we would like to have you come up and fill in for us for 3.5 months, teaching and talking at Unity of Port Angeles. And just after I hung up, the song Camelot came on on my music. So I knew I was going to a better place, and I knew I was going to get there. But there were times of discouragement. There were times when I think, oh, I'm never going to make it. You know, this is going to happen, that's going to happen. How will I get there? But every time I had a discouraging thought, an encouraging thought came along. Sometimes it came from friends. Sometimes it just came to me from Spirit. And Spirit said, don't get discouraged. You will get there. And I got here. August 1st of 2021. We have some new residents in Port Townsend today. Where did you come from?
Peonia, Colorado, mountains.
In the mountains. And why did you come here?
Health reasons.
Health.
It's low altitude, and also it's just too hot there.
It is. Colorado can be very warm. I came up here because I didn't like living under air conditioning for 7 months out of the year. And it just cramped my style. So let no past thought interfere with the future you. And keep thinking about it until your body catches on. And you can do this in healing any type of illness. And this happens a lot in the dispensives, in dispenses intensives. Just move toward that goal. I don't like to use the word goal because this is an emotional thing, a visualizing thing. And I don't think the word goal really pictures, says it all. And a certain amount of repetition is necessary. As I said before, there were discouraging times and then there were encouraging times, and I kept moving toward those encouraging times and listened to the people who encouraged me. So a certain amount of repetition is necessary in any healing modality. And knowledge is a precursor to an event. So research, like you did your colleges, like you did the bridal magazines. Seek out information that supports your vision. I'll never forget when a car came on the market and I looked at it on Craigslist and I said, that's the car that's going to get me up north. It's going to get me to the Olympic Peninsula. It's got a really great tow package. Maintain this state for a period of time, and eventually, if you hang in there, you will have it. Your DNA is a parts list of potentials that are awaiting instructions from you. I remember when we first started the Dispenza studies in the All Is Well Institute, I thought, you can't change DNA, that's set. But Joe Dispenza tells you that you can. Joe Dispenza was a chiropractor, and he was injured in a triathlon, injured in 6 places on his spine. 2 of them had cord damage. He wasn't expected to walk again. The doctors wanted to do surgery on him right away to help him deal with the pain and also help him just be able to get on with the life in a wheelchair, because they felt that was the only thing that would help him continue to live and be the person he was. But he didn't listen to that. And every time you get a declaration of something being impossible, you need to follow his example. He was face down on a gurney, and he spent his days visualizing. And because he was a chiropractor, he knew what those bones in his back looked like. And he could visualize just exactly what they would look like as they healed. And within 6 weeks, he started to feel movement in his fingers and his hands, and could touch his kneecaps, and there were some sensations. And within 10 weeks, he was walking. And he made a bargain with God. Have you ever bargained with God? I think we all have. He said, God, if you heal me from this, from this condition, I will go out into the world and teach people what I have learned while I've gone through this process. So Spirit, take me through this process. And Spirit did. Spirit and his knowledge brought him through it. And he was able to make a change in the way things were in his life. So always ask yourself, if you run into a little bump in the road or a little flick on the screen of life, ask yourself, how do I get out of my own way? Recovery is not in a straight line. Repeated meditations, visualizations, and affirmations lead to a coherent heart, and a coherent heart leads to a coherent mind. When we get beyond our body, we get beyond ourselves. And there's proof. And I'll read some of this information to you. Participants in the Dispenza workshops were, a neurologist would come along and would check them before, do the brain mapping before, and then after they'd had a spontaneous remission. Participants went beyond normal high rates of 6,000 microvolts of brain energy to 4.5 million microvolts, indicative of a full-on experience of complete healing. This high energy state of consciousness was proved to be greater than any past trauma. Researchers were able to prove that high amplitudes experienced during brain mapping wash away all sensations and awareness of the past. The heightened inner world becomes more than the outer world in the brain. These healings happen to the person the moment they are no longer a body and they become pure consciousness. For as spiritual beings on earth, for a human experience, stream of consciousness is self-organizing and self-perpetuating. Brain injury measurements of these amplitudes were sometimes interpreted as a seizure, but that didn't fit because the heart was okay and in complete love. I did have one of my counselees who was in my class that her neurologist kind of went berserko and thought that she was having incredible brain trauma, but she was perfectly fine. But she'd had a healing. She'd experienced a healing. And I had a healing myself that I'm sure was was a healing straight from spirit and getting into that state of consciousness. I sometimes turn on meditations that if I get up in the middle of the night and I go back to bed because it's too early to get up, and that's usually the time when our mind is and heart is most open to spirit. And I would turn on, I have YouTube, and I would turn on a YouTube meditation, and I was listening to this doctor, a lecture from Dartmouth College, a lecture to some doctors in Dartmouth College. His last name was Zenz, and he was explaining how mind and spirit work together to heal. And then he did a meditation. I awakened just as he was doing this meditation. I'd gone back to sleep and then I awakened to his meditation. The whole right side of my body felt luminous and there was no pain whatsoever. And it was just like somebody split a clothespin in half and half of my body was in some type of healing modality. No pain, and always the right side was the part that had always bothered me for half a century. And I thought, I wonder if I'm all right. Some people have strokes, you know. I thought, well, I'll just I see if I can move my hand and take it out of there. And it was just like there was a funnel, you know. It was like I was in a glass tube. That part of my body was in a tube of love and light. And so I picked my hand up and I moved it over and I scratched my other arm and touched my face and everything seemed to be okay. So I put it back in. And the minute I got back into that area, it felt fabulous again. I made a mistake of calling the paramedics, but you know, you can't be too careful. And they came and they checked me out and they couldn't find anything wrong with me. But that sent my doctor into a panic because, you know, I'm an advanced age. And she had never worked with me before, and so she insisted that I go to the emergency room, and they did a brain scan. And they said, "You've had a TIA, which is a mini stroke." And I said, and so I was registering high. And so they put me through 36 hours of testing and all kinds of procedures. They couldn't find anything wrong. And I have not had as much trouble with that right side of my body since then. So, if you're going to go on a healing journey, like I did, and like one of my counselees did, you need to make some commitments. The commitments that you need to make are taking control of your health. In other words, don't be passive. Don't let one person just boss you around. Do research. Constantly ask questions. And ask questions of your doctor and also your spiritual leader. Dr. Means of Harvard University says that whenever anyone is stricken with an illness of any kind, they need to get in touch with their physician and also with their spiritual leader. Another thing is to follow your intuition. Those messages come straight from Spirit. And you need to release any suppressed emotions. And you need to increase the number of positive emotions. And embrace social support. Here we are in the community of the heart, right here. Seek that out. And you need to deepen your spiritual connection. And that usually is done by affirmations, meditation, and prayer. Meditation is that way of tapping into what is buried in your subconscious and bringing everything to the forefront so that you can deal with it and you can heal if it's related to anything that is causing you problems physically. Now, one thing I want to make very clear is I think it's very important for you to use science and spirit in your healing process. Western medicine has done wonderful things, and there are times when Western medicine is the best answer. If you break a leg, you're not going to go to your spiritual healer right away, are you? You're going to go to the hospital like I did to find out what was going on, like my doctor, she sent me. You need to set aside time for a spiritual practice. And on all of them, I would recommend that you choose meditation over everything. We can do affirmations at any time of day in any way, but meditation is what really takes us there where we want to be. And one of the things that came out of the Dispenza intensives, one of the best things, the thing that Dispenza promised when he made his promise to Spirit that he would do, he said, I will share this, what I did, with everyone out there who's interested. And so now we're going to go into the Dispenza meditation. Clara's going to play the background music. Let's take a moment and take a very deep breath. And close your eyes if it is comfortable for you. Take a few deep, slow breaths to relax your mind and your body. Breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. And make your breaths long, slow, and steady. Rhythmically inhale and exhale until you move into this present moment. And when you are in the moment, you are entering a world of possibility, a world of recognition. And in this moment, silently affirm that you are Spirit. And as you make this affirmation, allow your breathing to become normal. And absorb these words. I am dedicated to discovering my total mindfulness. I reside in the present. I function as pure consciousness. And in pure consciousness, I am no body, no one, no thing, and no time. I am absolute pure light, pure love, pure energy. Now there is a powerful intelligence within you that gives you your life, which loves you so much that when your will matches its will, when your mind matches its mind, when your love for life matches its love for you, it always responds. It will move in you and all around you, and you will see evidence in your life as a result of your efforts to be greater than your environment, to be greater than the conditions in your life, to be greater than the feelings that are memorized in the body, to think greater than the body, to be greater than time. All this means that you are tugging on the garment of the divine. Your destiny then is a reflection of, a co-creation with, a greater mind. Love yourself enough to do this. And now, admit that you cannot create a new future while holding on to the emotions of the past. What is the emotion that you have always wanted to unmemorize? Remember what that emotion feels like in your body, and recognize the familiar state of mind that is driven by that emotion. And tell it what you want to change about yourself. Begin to admit to it who you have been and what you've been hiding. And in your mind, talk to it. Remember that it is real. It always knows you. It doesn't judge you. It always loves. It's time to free the body from the mind, to close the gap between how you appear and who you are, to liberate your energy. Release your body from the familiar emotional bonds which keep you connected to everything. The bonds which keep you connected to every place and everyone in your past and present reality. It is the moment to free up your energy. Think of the survival emotion you want to change out loud and liberate it from your body as well as your environment. Say it now. Is it fear, lack, sadness, judgment, unworthiness? And now it's time to surrender this state of being to a greater mind and to ask it to resolve this in a way that is right for you. Can you relinquish control to a greater authority that already has the answers? Surrender your limitation to an all-knowing intelligence. Simply open the door, give it up, and let go completely. With these words, infinite mind, I give you my, and then fill in the word. Infinite mind, I give you my judgment. Take it from me and resolve this emotion into a greater sense of wisdom. Free me from the chains of my past. And now let's become conscious of those unconscious states of mind and body. How did you used to think when you felt that way? What voice did you believe you no longer want to accept as your reality? It's time to play the change game. I want you to imagine a scenario in your life where you could start to feel like that old self again. And when you do, I want you to say change. To be empowered, to be free, to be unlimited, to be creative, to be genius, to be divine. That is who you are. Once you feel this way, memorize this feeling. Remember this feeling. This is who you really are. Allow yourself to fire and wire a new mind and recondition the body to a new emotion. Become familiar with a new state of mind and body. What is the greatest expression of yourself? Allow yourself to begin to think like this ideal again. What would you say to yourself? How would you talk? How would you walk? How would you breathe? How would you move? How would you live, and what would you feel? Allow yourself to emotionally feel like this new self, so much so that you begin to move into a new state of being. Expand your heart and move into this new state of being, a new state of being in a new personality that creates a new personal reality. And from this new state of being, form a picture of some event you want to experience, and let the image become the blueprint of your future. See it, command it, hold it, and then move to the next picture. Do not analyze. Do not try to figure out how it's going to happen. It is not your job to control the outcome. It is your task to create and leave the details to a greater mind. And as you see your future as the observer, simply bless your life with your own energy. And from a state of gratitude, be one with your destiny from a new state of mind and body. Give thanks for your new life. Feel how you will feel when these things manifest in your life. Because living in a state of gratitude is living in a state of receivership. Feel like your prayers are already answered. And finally, it is time to turn to that power within you and ask it for a sign in your life. Ask it to show cause in your life. And ask for a sign from the quantum field to come in a way you would least expect. A way that surprises you and leaves no doubt that this new experience has come from universal mind, so that you are inspired to do it again. Ask for that sign now. And now move your awareness back to a new body, in a new environment, and in a whole new line of time. Breathe deeply. And when you're ready, bring your awareness back up to beta. Back into the present, in this room, in this body, in this life. And then you can open your eyes with a vision and a knowing of who you've come to be.
Go ahead. Lord, prepare me to be a
Sanctuary,
pure and holy, tried and true, with thanksgiving. I am a living sanctuary for you. Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary, open-hearted, tried and true, with thanksgiving. I am a living sanctuary for you. And we have a song, Life by Mark Stanton Welsh. I invite you to stand. This is the one that starts slow, and we've been in this wonderful deep space, and this is going to wake you up. So, so if you are able, stand as you are able. Would our singers like to help lead? Thank you. Change of pace. I do what gives me life. I do what gives me life. I do what gives me life. Hey, hey, hey. I do what gives me life. I do what gives me life. I do what gives me life. Hey, hey, hey. In these moments I am given, in situations called situations call to me. I now choose this path of living. I now choose what sets me free. I do what gives me life. I do what gives me life. I do what gives me life. Hey, hey, hey. I do what gives me life. I do what gives me life. I do what gives me life. Hey, 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 hey. Thank you.
And that's a perfect segue. It's exactly right into the offertory. So I invite you to take out your offering, your love offering for the day, as we prepare to give our tithe, our finances, or love, and time, treasure, and talents. And hopefully, we weren't quite as clunky as last week, so we are improving. We are a work in progress. Well, let's take a breath. Think about what we're about to place in the baskets, whether mentally or physically. And we'll bless that. As we do here each week, it's really a blessing about you and me. Divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, and I am grateful. Indeed. And I am so blessed. I am.
I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed.
Sweet, sweet Spirit, Mother Prophet God, indeed we are blessed. And I'm going to take this moment now as we bless this offering to also bless all of those who need our prayers this day. Pam talked about a couple of people in the congregation. There's others that you may have in your heart and in your mind. And there's a prayer box and all the prayers that go there. So, sweet Spirit, we send these prayers forward, affirming that your presence is with each person prayed for, that their wishes and hopes and aspirations are heard, and that you do your miraculous work to answer those prayers. And we know that that answer comes in right and perfect order and right and perfect time. As Garth Brooks says in his song, I give thanks for unanswered prayers, for there are times when what I pray for is not in my highest good, or the highest good of all of humanity or their planet. But we affirm that the highest good is working always. So we receive these gifts and we send them forward to our community, the larger community, and across the planet, that each person may feel your presence, know their being within you, and find the unity of all of humankind and all of kind. And from that point, express it, be it, and create heaven on earth. And let us do that in our lifetime. And so it is. Amen. All right, and now we have the wonderful thing called announcements. And we'll start that off with, we've got they've changed the name of it. It used to be Into the Mystic. We call it now, what do we call that now? The what? Into the Mystic's fine. Jan's standing over here because she has an announcement about that.
Yes. First of all, there's been so much enthusiasm and energy around this. It's just awesome. I've had a lot of people sign up to volunteer because I'm the volunteer coordinator, so I'm dealing with that aspect. We need some people. We need to start passing out posters in about 2 or 3 weeks, and we need people to sign up to pass out posters for different areas, as well as for setting up and cleanup crew. There were some eager beavers, and again, there's a lot of enthusiasm and want to get the word out. If you're one of those people who took some posters, could you please contact me so we could coordinate our efforts? Thank you so much.
And thank you, Jan, for all the work you're doing to make this thing come together. So, speaking of coming together, on Wednesday at 10 o'clock, if you're interested in going on the Labyrinth Walk, meet here in the parking lot, and we will carpool off to Bainbridge Island. So I know a number of people have signed up. There is a sign-up sheet, I think it was out in the foyer last I saw it, just so we got an idea how many cars we're talking about. It's not limited. We could all show up, and it would be perfect. So, and that'll be a afternoon of Unitics on the loose, so to speak. So next week, Tom Drake is going to be our guest speaker, Reverend Tom Drake, and it's going to be on the storm before the calm, and it's based on a book. I read a book called The Eye of the Storm, and it'll be interesting to see what the two have in common and don't. Okay, I'll take you up on that. I want to remind you on Wednesdays we have high noons. It's a Zoom gathering, so if you have something you want to, well, just show up. For prayer meditation time at high noon, it's a Zoom. We have a number of other things going on in the sanctuary. They're all on the website, so go to the website and click in. There's another kirtan, I think, just got posted, and we'll make sure that gets on as well. It's coming up in about 3 weeks. So I think that's probably good enough. We've got some classes. So September's going to be busy. Once we get through August and get past the Labor Day weekend, you're going to be really busy people. We got all sorts of classes starting up. We're going to start a class on Sunday morning and in the afternoon, so we'll highlight those as we go along. But there's a lot of new stuff coming out, and it's going to be pretty exciting as we get rolling into the fall. With that, I think we'll probably call that good. And I'd like to have you join in a circle around the perimeter, well, best what we can, of an amoeba. Yeah, a small circle, and we will sing our peace song. Don't worry about it.
Yes, there is peace on earth, and yes, it begins with me. Yes, there is peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be with God.
this is my joyous vow, to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Yes, there is peace on earth, and yes, it begins with me. And we know the light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
And as the light of God we shine, and as the love of God we embrace, and as the as the power of God, well, just a second, we stand in truth, and as the presence of God we endeavor to express our divinity in all that we do.
I'm Reverend Pam, and I want to do a special thanks for Karen King, our licensed Unity teacher, for her wonderful message and presence today. So go forth blessed and blessing. As we blow out the Christ candle here, the spark just goes with you. You carry it to the world for us.